Before we get started on this episode this week, I just wanted to dedicate this episode to David Lynch in his memory of a dreamer and a creator without which I wouldn't be into film as much as I am without his contributions to movies and television. He was just an absolute champion in my cinematic life, and this is to David Lynch. Hello, everybody, and welcome to What the Hell Should I Watch? I'm Steve Stebbing.
And I'm Chloe Stebbing.
And we are the weekly rundown of what we're watching, and it may become what you're watching. And we come at you every Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time on stevestebbing.ca. And I teased it last week. I think the first anticipated or looked forward to movie of 2025, I think. And it's in the horror department like it usually is when it comes to January. There's a movie that we checked out at VIFF that we can finally kind of talk a little bit more about. All this and a bit more. Let's get to this. That's right. Fresh for your eyeballs this week. Leigh Whannell, in my opinion, has been a great voice in horror going back to Saw. So him striking out in on his own as a director, did an Insidious movie, did a fantastic Invisible Man film in the kind of Universal Monsters sandbox. And now he's doing it again. This is Wolfman.
A family at a remote farmhouse is attacked by an unseen animal, but as the night stretches on, the father begins to transform into something unrecognizable. Starring Christopher Abbott, Julia Garner, and Sam Yeager. Written and directed by Leigh Whannell.
So, I mean, you saw Invisible Man, right?
Yes.
It's a solid film from like a premise that's kind of like, oh, is he going to be wrapped up in bandages? Like, is this going to be like,
Yeah.
how deep are they going to go into this Invisible Man lore? Are they going to do something cool like Hollow Man, or is it going to be like cheesy, right? And Leigh Whannell actually made a very tight thriller that scares you with stuff that's not even there. It's just shifting of cameras and stuff to make you feel uneasy. And he did a really great job of it. So with that in mind, that was where my barometer was set for Wolfman. And the cast alone, like I like Christopher Abbott a lot. He's done a lot of great work, but the last thing I saw him in was Kraven the Hunter, and he was not good in that movie. Julia Garner, I really like. I haven't seen her in anything that I've disliked yet. So I was really on board with this film. First off, Garner and Abbott are like a married couple, and they have a daughter with the worst or no chemistry I've ever seen. Like really, really, really bad and really noticeably bad. And they're also like, granted, this is a couple that is in like a bad patch in their marriage, but it's hard to see where they had any kind of spark in the first place. Like it's really, there's such a blandness to their relationship, but there's also a blandness to the character building. It's stuff kind of we've always all seen before. Also like down to like generational, not abuse, but like generational like anger. Well, yeah, anger and abuse, like anger that leads to abuse. So that's like a thread in it. But I think the worst sin this movie has is it's just boring. It is just very not interesting. Even when it's trying to be scary, it's just really drawn out. And even the final look of the Wolfman doesn't feel like a Wolfman, like at all. It just kind of feels like a patchy, like weird, messed up guy. I don't know. It's just not good. It's just so not good. I was so very disappointed. I don't know exactly what went wrong. Was it just like completely underwritten? Was it just flawed from the get go? It just feels so far removed from a Wolfman movie too. Like the movie they did with Benicio del Toro years ago is way better, and that movie got seriously panned as well. But the creature effects were way better. The Wolfman looked like a Wolfman, and I don't know what this movie was, but I think the marketing is another thing that was flawed from the beginning, because the reveal of the Wolfman, I think they did as, you know how Universal has the Fright Nights or whatever, like they make like scary mazes and stuff like that, and like haunted houses and stuff.
Yeah.
They revealed that's where they had the Wolfman revealed, so it was a guy in a costume, and I was just like, what are you doing,
What?
Blumhouse? Like, what is going on? So I don't know. I think partially Jason Blum kind of failed this movie a little bit because the marketing was weird.
Blumhouse? I don't know what the hell Blumhouse is doing now, because they also have like a game series coming out.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, and it's like an anthology series, and a- anthology anything I'm pretty much all over. I mean, like my favorite game series, Dark Pictures Anthology, is an anthology, obviously, but I don't know what they're doing. Like I don't know why they're branching into the video game industry. Like I don't see how that's going to help them at
Yeah,
all.
well, maybe they see the Universal thing, the Warner Brothers thing, and they're just like, "Ooh, we can legitimize ourselves by," and well, I mean, it'd be cooler if they used what their properties are, what their intellectual properties are.
No, they aren't.
So,
From what I can tell, they're like the parent company. They're like the developer company, and then
mhm.
they have smaller developers under them that kind of just do whatever they want.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So no actual properties are being used. It's all like,
Right, original stuff.
yeah,
Okay, okay, gotcha.
and they're
I don't
all
know.
in completely different styles as well. So
Well, it could be interesting if they're giving
it
indie
could be
guys
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, new voices and stuff, and giving if they're platforming new new voices and indie voices and stuff. That's pretty cool. I could be into that. But yeah, Wolfman's kind of a wash, and I know you said last week you were partially interested in it, so hopefully I haven't swayed you on that, but maybe I have. Who knows? Let's talk about one we've both seen, and we got to look at this one at the Vancouver International Film Festival. This is Steven Soderbergh doing a ghost story. It's Presence.
A family becomes convinced they are not alone after moving into their new home in the suburbs. Starring Lucy Liu, Julia Fox, and Chris Sullivan. Directed by Steven Soderbergh.
So let's just kick it off and say that this is like unlike any movie you've seen before. Not just like a haunted house movie, not just a ghost story, not just a horror film. This is like a different movie experience. And I don't know, like, do you think that the mainstream audience has the patience? Because this movie, I think, does command patience from you. It's choppy to start. It's I
Yeah,
don't feel like you're really into it until like near the end of the first act.
I can see that. Yeah, and like because it is so different, I do think mainstream audiences will have a bit of trouble easing into it because it's nothing like's been done before,
Mm-hmm.
especially not something that's been shown to mainstream audiences. But it is entirely worth sticking it out. I mean, I never felt that drag because I was so excited for this film from the get go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like the payoff is amazing. The twist is unfathomable. Like I did not see it coming at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I really hope that people will give this film a chance, the chance that it deserves.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because it is taking chances in filmmaking, and it's really something that only at this point that Steven Soderbergh can do as a filmmaker, that can basically make any film he wants. And this one looks relatively cheap to make. I mean, you've got a few actors and maybe a main central location. So that and I mean, it's really interesting to look at cinematography wise as well.
Yes.
And it I mean, we've already talked about this film with our VIF wrap up, even with our top 10 of 2024, because technically Presence is a 2024 film as it premiered in 2024. So that was on your list for the top 10. So now a larger audience can see it, and I'm really interested to see what the reception is going to be, because I genuinely really liked it. I know my fellow podcast host Marina really liked it. Bill was not on the good side of it. I honestly think just patience is what this movie commands for a less your less than average film goer. Like, this isn't
Yeah.
Smile 2. This isn't, you know what I mean? Like, it's a little different. So I really like it, and obviously you really like it.
It's definitely emotionally driven.
Mm-hmm.
Emotion and drama driven more so than horror, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. It has its moments,
Yeah.
but they're very quick. They are very
Yes.
quick moments, I thought. Yeah, really good film. Let's move on to another film that is getting some acclaim. I don't think it's going to get as far as Oscars, but it is going to. I think it's got some BAFTA nominations that it'll definitely come through on. This is Mike Leigh's new film, Hard Truths.
Ongoing exploration of the contemporary world with a tragicomic study of human strengths and weaknesses, starring Marianne Jean-Baptiste, Michelle Austin, David Weber, Tuwayne Barrett, Annie Nelson, Sophia Brown, and Jonathan Livingston. Written and directed by Mike Leigh.
This movie, Mike Leigh is really great at making character stories. And he is a guy that's kind of run the spectrum of making real asshole stories, making really like sweetheart stories. Like anything he does with Sally Hawkins, like Happy Go Lucky, is just a totally sweethearted film. But Hard Truths is definitely your abrasive character, and Marianne Jean Baptiste plays a character that is just so unhappy that she's antagonistic, that you can't even interact with her without her spitting some vinegar at you and essentially ruining your day. Like, there is some and watching it as a viewer is really tough, because it's like she is so gratingly abrasive, and you're just like, you bring this all on yourself. It's kind of one of those shout at the television type things. But her sister in this, played by you just said her name too, and I'm gonna look it up because I'm played by Michelle Austin. The contrast of her is so interesting, but as the story kind of opens up and you realize the sister dynamic and the family dynamic and how everything works, is like Marianne Jean Baptiste's character was kind of destined to fall into that. And I think it's a really beautiful story in the end, a really great character story. Again, something that Mike Leigh always excels at, creating these original characters. And it's so crazy that he has so many of these authentic people kind of living in his head. But Hard Truths it's a hard movie. Like, it's a hard movie to go through, and it's not going to reward you in exactly the way you think it's going to reward you, but that's just kind of life. That's what feels real about it. So I really dug this movie. Definitely one of the better films of 2024. Like, it would definitely have hung around in the top 30, I think. um I only wrote down a top 20 because it was tough. It was tough. But yeah, it was a very solid movie, and absolutely enjoyed it. Let's move on to a couple that you can watch on your streaming devices. That's right. The streaming pile this week. I've got two brand new films. One of them is out today as we're releasing this episode, and it's Amy Adams going deep. This is Nightbitch.
A woman pauses her career to be a stay-at-home mom, but soon her domesticity takes a surreal turn. Starring Amy Adams, Scoot McNairy, Harley Snowden, Emmett Snowden, Zoe Chow, Mary Holland, Ella Thomas, Arcana Rehan, and Jessica Harper. Written and directed by Marielle Heller. Available on Disney+.
I'm just going to get it over with right away and say I really dug this movie a lot.
Yeah.
And it's 55 rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. I feel like
Really?
people just couldn't hook into this story. It felt like the trapped mother's plight. Its fucking nucleus, and it gets that into you right away when that girl from the gallery sees her in the shopping center, in the grocery store. And she goes on that, because she always has these great moments of tirades that never really happen. And that was kind of the first one to set it up. And I don't know. I just something I really got about her character in this movie and her portrayal of the character that I really got. And maybe that was down to the fact that they also had a really great child actor that was just awful enough and sweet enough at the same time that it kind of like worked in a great tandem. And I don't know why this movie is getting the hate that it's getting. I really don't.
I seriously think that it might just be coming from a place of misunderstanding, and also a place of, like, I don't want to say jealousy, but more like people on the outside looking in are just like, you don't understand what you have. Because a lot of women wish that they could be stay-at-home mothers, but their family units can't afford for them to not work. And that's like a big point of contention in like the working mother versus stay-at-home mother communities and zeitgeist and all that. I think I'm using that word correctly. I don't know. And being a stay-at-home mother, I very much related to, I don't remember her name. I don't remember the character's name.
Okay. Let me find it. Oh, she doesn't have one. It's mother, husband, and son. She doesn't have one.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I don't recall a name ever being said. And that's another like cool artistic point.
Well,
is that she isn't a person anymore. She's a role.
Yeah.
And like I became a mom super young, and around the age of 18, 19, 20, I crashed out. And like I lost my mind for a little bit, because like I was struggling so much with this role that I'm supposed to be doing, but am receiving little to no actual emotional support to maintain. Because that's a big part of it, is like, if it's not the financial support that you're missing, then it's the emotional and mental support.
Yeah.
And it does feel very suffocating sometimes, because you are most of the time solely responsible for this child or children, and everybody kind of just expects you to be okay with it and to know everything and to be on top of everything all the time. And I watched it with Julius, and there was a few points where he was like, I don't understand, like, why this is happening, or why she's like losing her mind right now, or why she's so upset by this. And I kind of had to explain to him like the kind of mental workings behind some of her behaviors and feelings and thoughts and outbursts. And I think that's where the pitfalls are in the larger audience. Case in point.
Case in point. Case in point. It absolutely just came true. That was like perfect.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. Can I help you? Water? Here, take that.
He doesn't know who I am. It's fine. That's fine. That was like perfect. That was like the perfect
Absolutely
movie
perfect.
to talk about, exactly for all of that to happen. I loved that happened. That was just like art imitating life. There was just like I also like um in perception and everything. I love how um dreamlike it is. The film
Yes.
operates as constantly dreamlike. Even the librarian, Jessica Harper's character, her name is Norma in the film, but clearly she's wearing two different name tags when you see her. There's one that starts with an E, and there's another name tag that I noticed as well. I don't know. I think that for Marielle Heller, this might have been like a very personal film to make as well. Like, it is based on a book. Rachel Yoder wrote the book. Um, but yeah, I thought it was really interesting. Scoot McNairy has 2024 is the year of him playing like the kind of like the dad harboring shitty feelings, right? Because leave no because speak no evil.
Mm,
He's kind of that guy, and then he's also that guy. Like, that conversation he has with her towards the third act of the film is awful.
yeah.
Like, it's just like the things you don't say to somebody that's spiraling, and that's what makes, and I don't want to give away anything, that's what makes the spaghetti moment so great in the movie. I thought it
Yeah.
was just manipulation at its finest. I thought it was great. I really dig this movie, and I hope people give it a chance now that it's going to be on Disney Plus. And I think maybe the name's provocative enough to make people click on it.
Yeah, I think
Fingers
so. I
crossed.
hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you give it a chance, you'll really like it. And I can see so many women relating to this movie for sure. Let's move on to something very, very different. But good thing about it is it brought Cameron Diaz out of retirement. This is back in action.
Former CIA spies Emily and Matt are pulled back into espionage after their secret identities are exposed. Starring Jamie Foxx, Cameron Diaz, Andrew Scott, Jamie Demetriou, Kyle Chandler, and Glenn Close. Written and directed by Seth Gordon, available on Netflix.
Okay, like, firstly, because this is like just one of those like throwaway spy comedy type of, like, we got two big stars and let's see if they have chemistry type things. It's like, firstly, what the hell's Andrew Scott doing in this movie? Like, he is far too good for this shit. Far too good for this shit. This is All of Us Strangers. Andrew Scott. This is Sherlock Andrew Scott. Like, he did Ripley, for fuck's sake. So I was like, what the hell? And like, also Glenn Close doing another weird role. Like, her agent must be just like fielding the weirdest calls to make her resume up these days. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. When I think about Glenn Close, I think about murdering puppies,
Oh,
boiling
oh
rabbits.
yeah. Yeah, she's an animal killer. She's
Yep.
an animal. Did you watch Fatal Attraction?
Yes.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Did you know there's a series?
Really?
Yeah, it's on Paramount Plus, the reimagining series with Joshua Jackson.
Weird.
And
Okay.
Lizzie Kaplan is the Glenn Close role in it. And I like Lizzie Kaplan a lot. I mean, since Cloverfield, right? I will say, this is better than the Netflix action movie with Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry, The Union. It is better than that film. There are more laughs to be had. I like Jamie Foxx, and it's great to see Cameron Diaz back. She looks great. It's been 11 years since the
Really?
last thing she was in, which was Annie,
Okay.
the remake they did.
Yeah.
That was the last
Weird
thing she
role.
did, and that movie bombed badly. And so it's cool to see her. It's still doing this family angle spy shit that's just so corny. And so it's definitely filled with his corny ass moments. But I don't know, it's still a solid watch in the background if you don't have anything else to do. It's like the most mid-level review I could possibly give it. Mid. All right, so we're close to. I know breezes by quickly, but we're close to leaving. But I added stuff to my collection. That's right. New to the library this week. I got one movie and like 3 complete series. So I was pretty pumped to bring them to the show. The first one in 4K, I got The Hitcher. This is the original film from the 80s with Rutger Hauer and C. Thomas Howell. This movie rocks. I don't know if you ever heard of this film. It's one of those highway thriller horror films, basically about a stalker kind of coming after a couple down a highway stretch. They remade it in 2007 with Zachary Knighton and Sophia Bush, and Sean Bean was the bad guy, was the Hitcher. But I think this movie is really solid. We covered this film for Tremble. Maybe last year, it might have been in 2024 we covered that, like second quarter 2024. And I think it still holds up. I was so pumped to see on the Moviezing site that it was available for review, so I snapped that up right away. Because it's just one of the, like, it's like this movie, Near Dark. There's a few other ones, The Vanishing. They just kind of are like its own microcosm of thriller that I really, really like. So I got that. Now for complete series time, and it varies. It's definitely varying here. The first one, I believe you can watch the whole series on Paramount Plus, but I now have it all in one box set. It's called Evil. And it's like a procedural, but like almost like a Believe It or Not, like spirits, demons, possessions, like all that kind of stuff. It comes from the creators of The Good Wife and The Good Fight, Robert and Michelle King, I believe. And I mean, it's got Mike Coulter in it, who I really like. Michael Emerson, who played Ben Linus on Lost. I always enjoy him and stuff. And I don't know. I just dig a procedural that goes off a beaten path into kind of logical horror and logical supernatural stuff and try to make factor fiction out of it. I'm kind of into that kind of stuff. I also got Young Sheldon complete series, the spinoff of Big Bang Theory, which has now also ended. So now there's 2 shows that have ended. So it now joins my Big Bang Theory series on the shelf. I don't know. It's well cast. Like they got the casting right. Kids are always obnoxious, so I mean, he didn't grow on me like a Frankie Muniz or anything like that. It was really the cast around him that I think it's excelled in this show. Especially Annie Potts, who I absolutely love. And it's crazy to think that Laurie Metcalf plays Sheldon's mom in the Big Bang Theory, and then her daughter plays the mom in this series. So well done. Way to put that together. And lastly, something that's just kind of like a cheesy watch. I don't know if you ever remember me renting these DVDs when I was working at Rogers Video back in the day, but I got Las Vegas, the complete series. It's with Josh Duhamel and James Caan, and it's just basically about a Las Vegas casino. There's 6 seasons of it, and it's like a Vegas casino procedural with a thin story that runs through it. It was more just a vehicle because they were like, well, Josh Duhamel is really, or Duhamel, or Duhamel. He's just good looking, so let's just put him on the screen. So They got 6 seasons out of that. So when I saw that, I was like, yeah, I remember that show. I'll grab it. Why the fuck not? We're just about to get out of here, but I'm not going to stumble on my words and talk about reminders. The audience doesn't know that I fucked up on the first one, but they do now. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to see this one yet, but you can now own it. Smile 2 is out on Blu-ray and 4K. I think it's bigger and more ferocious than the first movie. I enjoy them both as like an entity together. I can't say one's better than the other, but they definitely go big in this film. I'm excited for whenever you check it out to see what you think of it. But I reviewed it on the October 5th episode of the show. Also, Venom: The Last Dance is out on 4K. This I reviewed on the November 1st episode of the show. And it was okay. Tom Hardy and Venom continue to be the best thing about this series, which is fitting because the movie is named after them. But everything else just falls flat, and you just find yourself increasingly not caring anytime anything not involving them is happening. Also on 4K, and I'm trying to hunt down a copy of this one that's not over $50. But The Substance is out on 4K. I reviewed it on the October 11th episode, the episode when everything went back to normal after VIFF, and I was finally able to talk about it. But Chloe, you reviewed it just recently, last week. Gave your thoughts on it. It was on my top 10. This is a slam dunk to own on 4K. I'm trying to get my copy. Like, that's my biggest boast right now because I'm not hooked up with Mubi, so they're not sending me one because I begged for them or asked for one because I don't know who to ask. But I need this movie in my life and in my brain all the time. It's so damn good. It's so damn good. I loved it. Also, Rumors is out. Deckel Releasing is putting this out on Blu-ray. We both reviewed this in our VIFF wrap-up, kind of as we saw it, but I don't think we ever gave it a once-over when it was released in theaters. So, I think it's an interesting watch if you're a cinephile. Like, I feel like if you're like into movies and you want to see something weird and you want to see something that's like political but not political, Rumors is your film. Because it's just weird and it's playing with hilarious stereotypes and stuff. And then it just
Yeah.
goes bonkers. Like,
A
you
lot
think
of
it's
it. A lot
already
of it goes
bonkers.
bonkers.
Yeah. You think it's already bonkers, but you're not even like prepared for what's next. And one of the most this is going to sound so weird. One of the most operatic condom moments in a movie I've ever seen. Just like that happened. Wow. Anyway, also, The Return is out on Blu-ray as well. This is Ralph Fiennes, ripped Ralph Fiennes. Like, he got into like shape for this film. This is kind of the latter half of Homer's The Odyssey, Odysseus returning home to his queen Juliette Binoche, and it's a lot of buildup. I reviewed it on the December 13th episode, and it's just a lot of buildup to it, like a really cool looking fight. But it's just, was it worth it in the end? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. No butts this week.
I do have a singular but.
Just excuse to play the song. Just excuse to play the song.
I'm just trying to make sure that I remember the name because I think there's two different names. So this movie is called Area 407. It released in 2012.
Okay.
It's a horror movie about dinosaurs.
What?
Yes, it's low budget as hell, but this movie really intrigued me. It has 12% on Rotten Tomatoes, okay?
Yes.
But
Of course it
has
does.
but it has a 4.1 out of 5 on Amazon
What?
and a 3.6 out of 10 on IMDb, which is better than 12%. So, I don't know, people are like weird about this movie. And I was reading reviews for it, and people either were like, yeah, okay, I get where they were coming from, or this is the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
That's not a fine line. That's just like a huge dividing stick.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can't find any information about how this movie was made or even information on the actors in the movie. There's no information on them at all.
What?
I know
Where'd this movie
one
come
of
from
the
then?
I don't know. I tried looking stuff up about the actors. All I found out was some of their names and the lead actress's height. I don't even know her age.
Wow, that's unnecessary.
And I'm pretty sure most of this movie was improv because some of these shots go on for 30 minutes. They're
Oh, nice.
30-minute long shots.
How long is this movie total?
An hour and a half. And like some of the dinosaur scenes don't look so bad. They're raptors. And I don't know, like some of it's pretty good. The dialogue can get really dumb though, and because it's improv and they're quite inexperienced, it can sometimes go in circles. And you can tell when one specific actor whose role is like the old douchebag. So he's like, "Oh, women, oh, you're a flight attendant. You all you do is get me my peanuts," and they've literally crashed, like they're bleeding and crashed in the middle of the nowhere in Midwestern United States. And he's like, "I don't care. You can't tell me what to do. Whatever. I don't know." And that's his entire character. And then near the end, he becomes like a good guy and he saves like the 12-year-old who's like the main character for no reason. And there's a lot of times where he's like, "I'm just going to leave." And they're like, "No, you can't leave." And like, you can tell that it's the actors telling him you can't leave. Like, you can't take this character direction. It was just a really interesting one to watch. I mean, if you like bad movies and you like weird things, then I'd watch this one. I mean, if you don't like it, you can just turn it off. But it was fun. It was funny.
Come for the dinosaur horror, stay for the redemption angle.
Yeah.
Wow.
I will say though that the two lead girls, I think they're supposed to be like 10 and 13 and they're traveling alone on a plane. Their voices are quite grating. And it's a lot of screaming.
Okay, good.
To the point where the mic kind of breaks.
Oh, nice. Good. So it's like crackly and poppy. Actually, at my movie theater for Wolfman, we sat at the back and the screen, the speaker above our heads is busted. Snap, crackle, pop in the big moments of orchestra. Just takes the edge off of everything.
That sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. But Area 407. All right. All right, that brings us to what are we going to talk about next week? That's right, a taste of next week. We're going to see a thriller that is the trailer's trying so hard to tell you that is not directed by Mel Gibson, but it's directed by Mel Gibson. It is Flight Risk, starring Mark Wahlberg, and just like a brutally shaved, receding hairline. Like the trailer is so funny for this hairline is so funny, so funny. I don't know. We'll see how this all pans out. It's Mel Gibson actually got a movie into theaters, so I assume that he's going to get a lot more because him, Sylvester Stallone, and John Voight are the special ambassadors to
They own
Hollywood
Hollywood now.
for the government. Yeah, let's put the people that ruined Hollywood in charge of Hollywood. Great fucking idea, guys. That brings us to the end of this episode. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads, and Blue Sky at the Stevel Dead.
You can find me on Letterboxd at HoneyBunChloe.
You can find all of our episodes on stevestebbing.ca and on our YouTube page at Steve Stebbing or the Stevel Dead. We're also on shiftheads.ca, and you can hear me every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Shane Hewitt and the Night Shift, which is on Toronto's News Talk 1010, found on the iHeartRadio network. And well, that empties out our list for next week. We got to fill it up again. So until next time, bye-bye.